Thank you for joining. Good afternoon. My name is Gaurav, and I'm a pre-sales engineer at VMware. I work out of the Mumbai office in India. Uh, Today, we will talk about the vSAN 6.7 version, what's new, and I have segregated it into various sections, so hopefully you should like it. Now, prior to starting, anyone here already using vSAN? Can you give me a heads up? Oh, that's quite a few. Okay, great, good to know. Anyone already using 6.7? Okay, so this should help you with that. So let me start up with the again the challenge or the problem. Always a legacy architecture. So this goes back when I joined VMware 6 years back, and I was part of GSS and troubleshooting issues. There always a back and forth, at least with the storage team. And ESX Top used to be my friend, saying, there are high VDGA values, or the storage is performing very poorly. And it used to literally take me days to fix that. Now, this is the primary reason of going into a modern software-defined architecture, which is basically everything is converged into a single box. Now, this is where vSAN, a high-level picture of vSAN. Primarily, it is on an x86 architecture. Everything is integrated into the hypervisor. There are two models. One is an all-flash, other is a hybrid model. And it is easily scalable. So when I say easily scalable, you can do a scale up by adding disks. You can do a scale out by adding various nodes to it. And the last thing, which is pretty important, is about the managed through VM storage policies, which is actually the SPVM. So in a traditional architecture, you might not be able to control it individually at a VM level or at a specific disk level. Now, this is a brief map of our innovations of vSAN. Where did we start in March 2015, and where do we stand at the latest release of April 2018? So we started with all-flash, and to me, the major advance was in the deduplication compression, which was launched with vSAN 6.2. Now, vSAN 6.0 was actually against vSphere 6.0. Then we had the 6.0 U1, which was vSAN 6.1. Right now, vSAN 6.7 is compatible to vSphere 6.7. And we will talk about various features to it. Now, the first feature, which I believe you might be looking at all the product UIs, this has been into the Clarity UI or the HTML5 user interface. Now we had a lot of objections already for the Flash, and this is the major reason of moving towards an HTML5 interface. Now the advantage of an HTML5 interface, it is almost compatible with every browser. Now this has been backported. Almost everything has been written from scratch. Right now we are, I would say, a feature parity of 95%. If I have to talk about from day 0, day 1, and day 2, if you want to do something like a config assist is not something that is available with 6.7 HTML UI. And that's the only reason you wanted to use the older version of the client, and starting with day 2, you will have all the enhanced new features in it. Now, one of the important or the enhancements, even with vSphere 6.7, is an integrated VROps. So when I say integrated VROps, basically you don't have to move back and forth between your VROps and vCenter to look at two different UI. This dashboard can provide you from within vSphere 6.7, you can look at the basic health check. Now, if you want to create certainly new dashboards out of it, then is when you look at the complete or the entire VROps. And apart from this, a basic version or like a basic view of around 6 dashboards is available with vSAN with no additional cost for VROps. Now, this is another great news of the WSFC or the Windows Server failover clustering. We already supported the SQL Server availability groups. We support the Exchange or the DAGs. Now, with this release, we have also started support for WSFC. And if you're looking at it, it is via iSCSI. And with iSCSI, there are on the left-hand side, if you are looking at it, it's the physical as well as on the right-hand side in the virtual as well. So this is one of the enhancement that we have for specifically for WSFC. Now, adaptive resync, or I would call it as resync fairness. So with resync fairness, which means basically you need to move the component from one host to the other host. We had a slight enhancement in 6.661 as well, where the resync traffic would be reaching to a specific latency number, and then after reaching that specific latency number, it would be changing its value to a output or a throughput level. Now with this architecture or the modern workload, what we have is a guaranteed reservation of about 20% of bandwidth for resync. When there is no bandwidth congestion, when we have 100% available, you can absolutely use it for the VMIO as well. Now, apart from this, now the next part is the destaging process. So when I say the destaging process, the first task when we hit vSAN, and if you are going to a write buffer of it, you need to write it in the cache buffer. So when you write it to the cache, it has to be destaged back to the capacity tier to make sure everything is written back. So that process of writing it back has been enhanced a lot. I have a home lab of around 3 nested ESXi on a Lenovo box. The performance has been really better compared to the earlier version of 6.6. And I don't have, or we don't publish an official number like this is the value, but I'm pretty certain it would be a greater performance post 6.7. Now, this is another consolidation of replica components. So if you are looking on the left-hand side, if it is doing a consolidation at the component level itself. Now we have an object, and that is split into various components. And while we are trying to place the host into maintenance mode of the host 1 is getting on the left-hand side, getting placed into a maintenance mode, we are not moving that complete entire C1 component back to the host. We are actually consolidating. We are just consolidating the replica out of it. That means less transfer or less data transfer, and then means you can do a faster maintenance window as well. Now, this is with the space efficiency, and I actually had a lot of customers speak about it. Now, if you're looking at the blue window or the odd one out, it is the VM swap, which is actually equivalent to your memory. So prior to 6.6, prior to 6.7, so this VM swap was always a thick or a thick component of it. So when I say a thick component of it, you would obviously have to maintain, if it is 8 GB, then that would be a thick component, and it is not a thin component. With the 6.7 version of it, we are trying to make it more space efficient. And if you are looking at a scale version of it, maybe around 512 GB of memory host, and you're running around 600 or 60% of virtual machines, you can still save around, I would say, roughly around 2 terabyte only with this change. Right now, this is on the fast failovers. So with the fast failovers, I don't have typically any customer, or I don't have a customer at all who is running this particular architecture, but every now and then when I speak to a storage admin of a customer, he would typically want to go with a Fabric A and the Fabric B architecture, where your switches are not connected. So what we can do in this architecture as well, or the enhancement with this architecture is, you can there would be a fast convergence once one of the VMK NICs is down. Now, if you are looking on the vSAN traffic separation and this is specifically for stretch clusters, we have quite a few enhancements on the stretch clusters as well. So if you are looking at the DCI link or the ISL link, which is the vSAN data traffic, so this is the dedicated link. So when you plan for your stretch cluster, obviously you would be planning in a phase that you're your data traffic has to be segregated on a fast link, and the witness or the metadata would transfer over the witness link. So this is another enhancement that we have added to it. Now, again, coming back to the stretch cluster portion of it, if you're looking at the stretch cluster, left-hand side is my preferred site, and on the right-hand side we have the secondary site. Preferred and secondary are connected via a fast link, and the witness, which would be typically a metadata only. Now, in case we have we have a connectivity issue of the ISL, the preferred site has gone or non-responsive. It does not have any connection to the witness node as well as to the secondary node. In this case, the VM has failed over back to the secondary node, and for some reason, if your witness has started communicating back to the preferred site, we still need to make sure the fitness of it, right? You cannot move all the machines or make that as a preferred site again. So in a stretch cluster, until and unless the ISL link is back up and running, the VMs would not move to the preferred site. Now, apart from this, again, this is with the stretch cluster itself, the resync or intersite resync as well. Prior to 6.7, we would move all the replica components from site A to site B. So when we move that, obviously you have more traffic compared to what with the 6.7. Now with 6.7, the movement is of a single component at a time, and secondly, we do have visibility now at the component level as well. We try to do the first component. Let's say we have done the first component, we got a proxy honor, and then it is beyond the proxy honor, which is going to replicate it among the local site itself. So this is again an enhanced version in the stretch cluster itself. Now coming to the next gen apps, which is basically there are various applications which have inbuilt high availability. Now when they have an inbuilt high availability means they don't have to move around. So doing an FTT or any sort of data is really not required. So when we have that architecture, we can do an FTT 0. If you are looking at the third column, we can do an FTT 0. That means we are not maintaining more than one copy. It's a single copy, and then you can absolutely have multiple nodes. Since you have application level high availability, this can be useful. Now, this is part of the vSAN Ready Care, where we have invested in people, services, and technology to make the product better. So since we have 15,000 plus customers on vSAN now, we have increased even the GSS support to a certain extent, and similarly we are investing on the vSAN Insight portion as well. Now, there are health check advanced or enhancements. I would like to speak about at least the HCL updates. That would be only fetching your update differences only. It won't be a complete or an entire update. Apart from this, there are other configuration and compatibility improvements as well. This is again going back to day one. And now, last portion, if you look at it, firmware check are now independent from driver check, because we have that HCL. If you go to the HCL, it gives you a driver version, then it gives you a different firmware version. So we kind of fixed that in the 6.7. And there are other connectivity related improvements as well, vMotion and vSAN network connectivity improvements. Now, this is with the enhancement, again back to the support angle of it, or the support of vSAN itself. Now you can, or we can download, or sorry, we can upload the data, we can upload the anonymized data back to a vSAN support insight bundle. We don't collect any host names, we do not collect any IP addresses. We would collect certain information from your environment, basically for real-time identification only, and then when you create a case or when you log a case with VMware, there would be no back and forth going, oh, you have to upload the log bundle. That means you really would have a faster response, because GSS might have access to a lot of details when you log the case, and there is additional proactive support capabilities that is with GSS now. Now, this is one of the component I think that has been there for a while with starting with the 6.0 till 6.6. We have to run this as a scratch partition or the boot device. So when typically with vSphere, it is about 2.5 GB. And if you are looking on the right-hand side, the extended version of it, you would have to basically, there is a KB article, you need to go back on an ESXi host, run a command, and make that diagnostic partition expand. So with 6.7, that is possible even with the at the time of upgrade or at the time of a greenfield deployment. You have a scratch partition of 4 GB. So all your logs data or any other logging still persist back to your vSphere logging. Now support for 4KN devices in vSphere and vSAN. Since we are seeing a lot of 4K devices with the larger block sectors. So basically, this was something that was pending on the vSphere 6.7. Immediately after 6.7, vSphere started supporting it with the software emulation. Now we have support for the same in the vSAN 6.7 as well. Now this is again coming to a security angle of it. We have all FIPS 140-2 validation. Now it's a validation, not a certification. So the primary difference is if you are talking about a certification, that has to be via a hardware and a software vendor. So that means you might not be able to change certain things if you are buying a FIPS certified solution, X hardware, then a specific version of vSAN, specific version of switches. So with the vSAN FIPS 140-2 validation, what we are doing is we have two modules which are validated. So one of the module is the VM kernel, which is basically possible for or responsible for your vSAN encryption or for your VM encryption. Then we have the OpenSSL, which is basically for the TLS communication, and we are also, or when we get into the encryption model of it, we actually rely on a third-party vendor like HighTrust or any of the third-party vendor who can provide us the encryption capabilities. Now, some of the takeaways right now, it is put into 3 columns as we discussed. So one of them was absolutely via the HTML5 UI. So even I started working on vSphere for from 4.0 and ESXi 4.1. I was so used to the C# client, and I still like that C# client. And then we suddenly moved to the Flash-based client, and I personally did not have great experience with that. Now, after moving to the HTML5 and using the product from a long time and sticking to the C# client, after using HTML5, this is finally something I can really say we have made a significant enhancement to it. Now, when I say enhancement, when you log in, the things, if you have to go to the CPU of it or you have to go to VM, the things are really possible in terms of fewer clicks as well. Now, we talked about the vRealize operations that is embedded within vCenter, and we talked about WSFC. Just a note on the WSFC again, just to be sure. This is via iSCSI. Now, vSAN and now this is possible via iSCSI. This is one of the corner cases you might want to use it. This is not something I have designed a recent environment for one of my customer who was running around 500 odd VDI, and I designed that solution on WSFC so that the file server was made available. And because he did not had additional investment to make on the NAS component or NFS, he's totally relying on the HCI portion of it. So that was one of the use case that I used it. Apart from that, I would also highlight again the improved space efficiency after making it thin provision, and the support experience, which is really at par now. So with that, if we have to find out more about vSAN, 3 ways to find out. You can take a vSAN assessment, which is the HCI bench, which is really good from a POC angle of it. If you want to see your performance or how many IOPS, you want to fulfill all those requirements, you have your expectation set right, you can use this tool. Our HOL has been quite famous. These are again nested labs. So if you want to give HOL a shot, I usually create a lot of demos out of HOL. Now, the last is the storage hub resources. I highly recommend using the storage hub resources. Every guide, or like if it's a 2-node, it's a stretch cluster, it is any specific information related to vSAN, SRM, or anything related to storage is consolidated back into this particular resource or the storage hub. And with that, I would end the session for now. And thank you for coming. I can take offline questions.